Scorpio, welcome to your November 2020 general tarot reading. It's Raina here, and you know why you're first, right? Happy birthday, and also I hope you enjoy these cards because I consider these very Scorpionic cards. And I'm actually kicking myself that I didn't use them in October for the last half of the month because they're perfect. It's the Wild Unknown Tarot deck. So we'll see what we get here. I really love this deck so much. I mean, in terms of the illustrations, I think it's it's unique, but it also is very emotive, you know. I get good vibes from it, let's put it this way. Okay. Alrighty then. I'm trying to think. I want to see something astrologically, see if it's relevant to what I'm talking about. Because we have as the centerpiece of this reading, and this could be the heart of the matter, the kind of the dilemma in some cases, if there's something that you're dealing with. We have the Star card in reverse, and the Star card is about healing, hope, faith, and that kind of thing. So when you have a positive card like the Star card or the Sun card, when it's reversed, it's not going to be the same as another reverse card. And by the way, it's important to note that reverse cards are not always the more negative connotation. Sometimes the right side up version is the one that is problematic. If you want to look at things in that way, which I think a lot of you are too sophisticated to do so, but so when you have the Star card in reverse, it can indicate that one of the dreams that you have is unfulfilled, and maybe it's like it's on its way. Have you ever heard that affirmation, it's on its way? But there might be something that you have to work out on your end in order to make it happen. So if you're somebody who has been wanting a reunion with somebody, because I actually have the Two of Cups, and it might not be, I'm not talking about necessarily that it's an ex or something like that, but somebody maybe who is overseas, their immigration papers get held up or what have you, and you're waiting for them to come and join you. There might be still some little hiccups. Okay, we are having a couple of personal planets retrograde in, going direct in November, but still during that time, there might be still wonky kinds of things happening as the planets are getting back up to speed. It's called, being in the shadow period. Even when they station direct, there's still time when they have to get back to where they were when they retrograded. So the power is still being restored, if you will, whatever that planet represents. So we have Mercury retrograde, and as the month begins, going direct on the 3rd. And so even after the 3rd, you can still experience some funky situations happening around these issues of communication and contracts and things like that. I, have had some of my most nightmarish, if you will, and that's a little bit exaggerated, but the snafus have sometimes been the worst when the planets have when Mercury has stationed direct. I was thinking, I thought Mercury is supposed to get better, and this is like, it's not getting better, but it seems like this is when it's happening. Very powerful, that degree when it goes direct. So I think it's 25 Libra when it goes direct. So then Mars goes direct on the 13th, but Mars is one of your rulers, so you may feel it much more than the average sign. So understanding that sometimes things still have to be ironed out, And maybe it's emotionally, maybe it's on your end. Let me just keep going with the reading and we'll see what else shows up. Also, the other thing to note is that Aquarius is connected to the star card. So if there's an Aquarius person in your life and you feel like your relationship with that person is not very good, or it just seems like it's inconsistent, that could be what is going on. Like it's on again, off again. So we have this, it's like upside down. Like it feels like it's not working as it should. And that can simply mean that there's some kind of lack of alignment between the two people. And so that's something to definitely look at if you don't have like a stability there. In the past position, we have the Son of Cups. So this is a card that is actually connected to the Knight of Cups. It can be an offer of love. So here's a scenario. I'm not saying this is yours, but it could be, where you have you're in a relationship with an Aquarius, which is very, the first word that comes to my mind is extreme to begin with. And I'm a Sag, so I tend to exaggerate sometimes. It's actually not going to be that extreme or bizarre if you're a Scorpio with a moon in Gemini, or moon in Aquarius, moon in Libra. You're going to be more hot and cold yourself with your emotional nature, your relationships. Or if you have Venus in Sagittarius, you might be the kind of person who likes to have that open door in relationships. And so an Aquarius person can be kind of appealing in that regard. But at the end of the day, you're a Scorpio. So you're the kind of person who craves intensity of experience. And this kind of person can be maddening if they are the quintessential Aquarius who is very detached. Some may consider it aloof, and doesn't feed into your need for that kind of emotional ferocity. And you may, inadvertently try to get this person's attention through ways that are not very nice or mature, trying to, start stuff, try to accuse him of something. And I'm saying him, obviously could be her. But in any case, we have this character, the Son of Cups. Who is this? Is this somebody new in the picture, or an ex that you have always had a thing for? Because with the Two of Cups, that could even be like somebody who is very caring, a water sign, who also maybe in some cases younger than you chronologically, or has a youthful kind of way about themselves. Especially, I would say especially Pisces. Pisces people, even, and maybe some of you Scorpios have this as your rising sign, which would really give the appearance, can have like a very like baby face. And, even the way that they carry themselves can be very innocent and like a child in a lot of ways. But this kind of person, if you're an artistic person, you might meet them through some kind of artistic pursuit. The thing that I always say is open mic night, or if you're a musician, for instance, or at a gallery if you are artistic. And you hit it off because you have that in common. And certainly two water signs will tend to be like that. But like I said, and maybe this has to do with the Mercury retrograde, because sometimes you hear from an ex during a Mercury retrograde. And then we have the higher message, which can kind of go into this, which is the Two of Cups. And this is like maybe getting back together. And in some cases, in this type of scenario, this person may be somebody that you really have always wanted to be with. Maybe, let's say this person that you're with right now is an Aquarius. I'm using that because of the star card in reverse. Not saying that this is necessarily their sun sign, but the qualities of that, the negative or the challenging qualities of Aquarius, the aloofness, the kind of erratic tendencies of like kind of shutting you off, shutting down, sometimes when maybe they have the moon in Aquarius, and sometimes this is due to trauma. But it doesn't really matter, even if it's due to trauma. If you're trying to have a relationship with somebody, it's impossible if they keep doing that. So the Two of Cups, that person may be more emotionally available, and that is the bottom line, is that that's the kind of person that's more your type of person. So the challenge card, which I tend to read like reverse cards, is the Eight of Pentacles. Isn't that a neat illustration? I love this one. And I think it's also great as a representation of what the Eight of Pentacles stands for, which is about doing great work and, doing your best, maybe an apprenticeship, some kind of a training. But the spider has, I remember reading a long time ago that spiders, that they take a long time to make that web. And that it's very intricate. It's a very intricate pattern. And the Eight of Pentacles is actually a great money card. And how I read this, if this is the way I read this in relationship readings, is that sometimes when people have an emotional need, they put too much emphasis on their love life, their relationship, their significant other, in other words, a codependency. It's funny because I just read an autobiography by Jenny Boyd, which a lot of people, unless you're over a certain age, you probably don't even know who she is, but she was the object of the song Jennifer Juniper. Look it up on YouTube. Donovan, great folk singer, pop singer from the 60s. And she was a Scorpio. She is a Scorpio. She's still alive. And she was talking about her issues with codependency, being married to Mick Fleetwood of Fleetwood Mac and all of that. And, I always think of Scorpios as very powerful, whether they are involved in a relationship or single. But it was amazing to see how she allowed herself to be treated in a shabby manner like that. And I'd like to see her chart, actually. But this is a common trait, especially for people who are water signs. And it turned out that she didn't have her father in her life. Her biological father was not in her life, and she reunited with him late in life. And this happens to a lot of water sign people, is that the father is either weak or is absent in their life, and that can lead to issues for both genders in different ways. So this is the point that I'm saying, is that finding your own passion in life, your own thing, your own ambition that you want to do a great job with, is so crucial. And that's what her book was about. She found herself instead of living through somebody else's, living, for somebody else, living for herself. And I think that some of you may understand what I mean by that. And, the Two of Cups is great. Having a relationship can be awesome. But having a relationship with yourself, and that you know who you are, and you're not trying too hard. That's how I see the Eight of Pentacles, is that the person is trying too hard to make something work, and it's not mutual. Another thing is, if this is a work-related matter, you may even be going back to a former company job. The Knight of Cups, maybe if you were laid off somewhere and you felt like kind of that the hope that you had was kind of diminished, perhaps you have this opportunity to go to a former work environment. But the thing is, it has to be something that really grabs you, especially somebody who's a Scorpio, because you're very all or nothing. And I'm not saying that's necessarily always a good thing. Sometimes that can lead to excessive emotions and attitudes. But on the other hand, it can make you very plugged into whatever you're into. You can just totally absorb yourself in. If you have Mercury in Scorpio as a sun in Scorpio, then you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And you have like a laser sharp focus, being a fixed sign. It just can sustain you, but you have to have that emotion behind it. If it's like you're just going through the motions, it isn't going to work. So really looking at what it is that you're pining away for, if you are pining away for a person, a place, or a thing, and asking yourself, do you really have that drive, that passion for it? And I keep saying passion. I say, well, is that really Scorpio? But I think because of Mars, I think of that kind of that oomph, you know? I got to have that oomph. And then we have the, what's coming in, we have the Mother of Swords, which is connected to the Queen of Swords. So I do think of this decision that has to be made. This is a funny card because I think that it's perfect for this, because look at those eyes, you know? That reminds me of Scorpio's eyes, very, you know, piercing, looking right through somebody. And, you know, that's kind of what this card represents. You know, the swords represent the air signs and the intellect and the logic in life. And the, again, I mean, Aquarius is an air sign. And the Queen represents the water element, which you are. And so it's like making a decision that has humanity attached to it. It's not like you're doing something heartless, but you are valuing logic in your decision-making process. You're not being swayed by your emotions, which may be the story of your life. Scorpio, especially in relationships where you tend to, that's where you get stuck, because you find it hard to be very detached. And so it's like it's all or nothing again, and that kind of thing. And that, and besides being extreme, all or nothing is very subjective. It's very like, this is what I like, this is what I want. And sometimes you have to kind of take that step back and say, well, you know, yeah, I do want this, but is it really good for me? And how can I look at the situation? This is why people do go to therapy. And obviously not all therapists are created equal, but if you can get like an intuitive therapist, or any kind of counselor, like a spiritual counselor that is wise, because spiritual teachers, spiritual counselors can be very subjective too. They can be very biased based on their own emotional makeup and experiences. All of these types of advisors, you know, that can be baggage that they have, is that they're not that objective. And ultimately that can be the difference between you getting advice that is truly good for you or for them, you know. They're thinking about their own life. So whoever, even a trusted friend, I mean, could be very wise. But having that kind of sounding board where you can say, what do you think about this situation? Should I go back to this company? I mean, I felt like they didn't respect me the first time around, but I really love what I'm doing when I'm with them. Should I trust them? Or a person, you know, should I leave this person? Should I go with that person? These kinds of things can be really important. And then we have the outcome which is the Ace of Pentacles. And this is what I think about this particular card. Ace of Pentacles, let's look at it upright. I don't think this particular card, I think it's trying to represent the pentacle, or the, you know, how it's circular and that kind of thing. Even those lines, I think there's like 5 lines like a pentacle. But the pentacles relate to earth element, and aces relate to beginning. So a beginning, you know, a new job or situation like that. How does that, do you feel comfortable? Now you're going to have a new moon in November. On the, the 15th of November. And so this could indicate new developments in your life as a whole. But because this is coming right after Mars has gone direct, and that's one of your rulers, and you got Mercury, even though that is direct, it still might be a little bit wobbly. It still might, things might not feel very certain. I think, and we're also having a lunar eclipse at the end of the month, on the last day of November. And eclipses can be felt even earlier than the date. So maybe for some of you, this will be the 8th house. This is the house that you rule. And for some of you, this eclipse will actually fall in your 7th house of committed partnership. So, you know, who knows what could transpire this in the month of November for you, as far as relationships go, as far as any kind of money that has some kind of connection to others. That's what the 8th house can be about. Or even, you know, the 8th house is the house of transformation. And it almost sounds like it's saying that your foundations have to be maybe built up a little bit, because we have 2 of these Pentacles cards, and they're both in challenging positions. I'm going to pick an additional card for clarification here. Interesting. I'm getting some of these reversed cards. So this is the 5 of Wands, and I got it in the reversed position. So how I read that card is that there's going to be an end to some kind of conflict. And the end of the conflict can come through a choice that you make, that you decide to walk away from a situation that's very contentious already, and that might be with the Star card. Perhaps somebody is preventing you from fully healing because of their own problems. And they're kind of like this, they're coming between you and your ability to move on with your life. Maybe they're coming in between you and your work. It's affecting your work even. And there's somebody who is offering you love, companionship, something gentle. And the question is, are you rejecting it for some reason? Lack of self-love, lack of trust. You know, sometimes people get addicted to problematic relationships because they really don't feel deserving. And that to me is the saddest thing, is when people will make a beeline to the person who treats them like crap, and they will reject people who are nice to them and say, well, I'm not attracted to that person. They seem like a brother to me, but they can't handle love, because it's just, they don't love themselves. So I'm going to leave it there. Typical. I have the sun in the 8th house, so I'm kind of scorpionic myself. And I'm always getting into the psychology of things. So it's never like this. I'm always trying to make it like kind of light and fun and, you know, all that. But it always turns into the psychodrama, it seems like. So, oh well. What can I say? So I hope that you enjoyed this, Scorpio. If you would like a personal reading, if you are looking for kind of what is 2021 going to be like for me, what are the themes, the major themes? How are the eclipses going to affect me in my personal chart, the natal chart, which is so much about our cosmic blueprint for this lifetime? I have natal chart interpretations. I have a special going on with its combination natal chart and full-length tarot reading for a special price. Check me out below. That particular reading is called The Whole Enchilada. Have a great month. Happy birthday. Take care. Bye.